Mark and Lisa Henderson seemed like the perfect couple, successful, loving, and respected by everyone around them. But beneath their charming smiles and quiet suburban life, a deadly secret was brewing, one that would shatter their marriage forever and lead to a terrifying ultimatum no one saw coming. Mark and Lisa Henderson lived in what many would call the perfect suburban life. Their neatly kept house sat on a quiet street lined with maple trees that turned brilliant shades of orange and red every fall. On weekends, neighbors often saw Mark mowing the lawn while Lisa tended to her flower garden, smiling and waving as they went about their routines. To outsiders, the Henderson family seemed like a dream come true. Mark was a successful architect, known for designing modern homes that blended style with functionality, while Lisa worked part-time as a graphic designer and managed the household with care. Their two children, Emma and Jack, were well-behaved and active in school and community events. The family attended church every Sunday, hosted barbecues in the summer, and seemed to have no troubles at all. But beneath the surface, things were beginning to change. It started slowly and almost imperceptibly. Lisa began spending more hours at her office, often coming home late and avoiding questions about her day. Her phone was almost always face down, and she grew increasingly protective of it, sometimes stepping outside to take calls. Mark, who once was warm and attentive, now spent more time working late into the night or disappearing to the local bar. The conversations between them grew shorter and colder. Friends who once saw the couple laughing together at gatherings started to notice the silence between them. On social media, their posts about family outings became rare and forced. Lisa's smiles began to look strained, and Mark's usual charm gave way to moments of frustration and anger. No one could have guessed that behind closed doors, arguments were becoming more frequent, fierce, and sometimes frightening. The children were shielded as best as possible, but they could sense the tension. Emma, the older of the two, started to withdraw while Jack clung more to his mother, confused and anxious about the change in their home. Despite the cracks, the Hendersons kept up appearances. Lisa still made it to school events and PTA meetings, and Mark continued to attend neighborhood functions, though increasingly distracted. Their friends reassured themselves that every couple has rough patches, and that this too would pass. But the truth was far more complicated. Lisa had discovered troubling secrets about Mark, secrets that threatened everything they had built. He was hiding debts, gambling problems that had spiraled beyond control. The sleek, successful architect was caught in a web of lies and desperation. Lisa's fear grew as she realized how dangerous the situation was becoming. She tried to confront Mark quietly, hoping to get him help without exposing their family to scandal. But Mark's frustration only deepened, and the man who once vowed to protect his family now seemed ready to do anything to keep his secrets hidden. Lisa began documenting everything in secret: photos, notes, recordings, preparing for the worst. Neighbors and friends noticed the tension, but no one suspected how close to the edge the Henderson marriage really was. The perfect facade was cracking, but no one saw how quickly it would shatter. What started as silent arguments and missing smiles was about to explode into a nightmare no one could have imagined. One chilly autumn evening, the quiet neighborhood was shaken by a sudden and troubling mystery. Lisa Henderson had vanished. She left behind her purse, her phone, and even her favorite scarf. Items she would never leave without. The house was eerily empty, with only the faint sound of a clock ticking in the living room. Their two children, Emma and Jack, were asleep, upstairs, unaware of the storm about to break their world apart. When Mark realized Lisa was missing, panic flashed across his face, But his words offered little comfort. He told the police that Lisa had left voluntarily, needing space to think. But something about his calmness felt wrong to the officers who arrived. Neighbors gathered, whispering as the news spread. Many found it hard to believe Lisa would simply walk away without telling anyone. She was devoted to her family and had no history of leaving abruptly. Police began a thorough investigation, searching the house for any clues. Lisa's phone was nowhere to be found, even though Mark insisted it was left behind. Her computer showed signs of recent activity, but nothing explained her sudden disappearance. As days passed, the tension in the community grew. Friends and family were desperate for answers, but the silence from Lisa only deepened the mystery. Mark appeared distressed in public, yet some noticed inconsistencies in his story. His calm demeanor, when speaking to the press, didn't quite match the anguish expected of a worried husband. Detectives started to look closer at the Henderson family's recent activities, hoping to find something overlooked. Then, a surprising discovery changed the direction of the investigation. Police found that Lisa had taken out a large life insurance policy just weeks before she disappeared. The policy named Mark as the sole beneficiary. This raised many questions. Why would Lisa do that if she planned to leave? Was there something else going on that no one knew about? The insurance company confirmed the policy was active, but no claim had been filed. Detectives interviewed neighbors, looking for anyone who might have seen or heard something unusual the night Lisa vanished. One reported hearing a loud argument from the Henderson house around 10 p.m., followed by strange noises, thuds, and something being dragged. No one had reported this at the time, thinking it was just a quarrel. But now, it took on a sinister meaning. Mark's background was scrutinized. Investigators uncovered debts and financial troubles he had kept hidden. His gambling habits, which Lisa had suspected, were confirmed by bank statements and secret messages found during a search of their home. The picture painted by the evidence was far from the perfect family life they projected. The community grew restless, and rumors began to swirl. Had Mark pushed Lisa to the edge, or was something more dangerous at play? The investigation was far from over, and with every new detail, the case became more complicated and darker. As the days turned into weeks, hope began to fade for a safe return, but the truth was still buried, waiting to surface in the most unexpected way. The investigation into Lisa Henderson's disappearance took a sharp and unexpected turn when the police uncovered hidden evidence that deepened the mystery and intensified suspicion around Mark Henderson. During a careful search of the Henderson home, detectives found a small smashed cell phone buried in a box of old documents in the attic. The phone was badly damaged, but forensic experts managed to recover data from it, revealing a series of videos Lisa had secretly recorded over the past few weeks. In these videos, Lisa confronted Mark about his mounting gambling debts and the dangerous threats she had quietly endured in silence. The videos painted a chilling picture. Mark's desperation was far greater than anyone had suspected. Behind the polished exterior, he was a man trapped by addiction and lies, increasingly volatile and willing to do whatever it took to protect himself. The recordings showed Lisa's growing fear as she tried to reason with him, pleading for honesty and help, but Mark's frustration boiled over, and threats were made, words that hinted at violence. This discovery shocked the investigators and the community alike. It became clear that Lisa's disappearance was not a simple case of leaving or getting lost. Something far darker was at play. But just as the police prepared to focus all their attention on Mark, a new piece of evidence emerged that complicated the case even further. DNA analysis from samples found under Lisa's fingernails didn't match Mark's. Instead, it belonged to someone else, a local handyman named Tom Riley, who had worked on the Hendersons' home for years and was well liked in the neighborhood. This revelation stunned everyone. How was this man connected to Lisa's disappearance? The friendly handyman suddenly became a person of interest. Further investigation revealed a secret partnership between Mark and Tom. The two had been involved in illegal activities, including selling stolen architectural plans from Mark's workplace. Lisa had discovered their scheme and threatened to expose them. It was a secret that put all three lives on a dangerous collision course. Tom denied any involvement in Lisa's disappearance, claiming he had no idea where she was. But inconsistencies in his statements and suspicious behavior made it impossible for the police to trust him. Surveillance footage showed Tom near the Henderson house on the night Lisa vanished, contradicting his alibi. Detectives began to suspect that Mark and Tom had conspired not only to hide their crimes, but possibly to get rid of Lisa before she could ruin them both. The community watched in disbelief as the once-beloved handyman was linked to such a serious crime. Friends and neighbors who had trusted him were now questioning everything they thought they knew. Meanwhile, the pressure on Mark increased. His calm facade cracked under intense questioning, and the police uncovered even more evidence of his financial desperation and lies. The case, once believed to be about a missing wife, was now unraveling into a tangled web of betrayal, crime, and danger. But despite all the evidence, Lisa was still missing, and no one knew if she was alive or dead. The investigation had reached a critical point, and the truth seemed closer than ever. But it was about to take a shocking twist that no one could have predicted. The investigation into Lisa Henderson's disappearance grew more intense as detectives uncovered deeper layers of betrayal and criminal activity involving both Mark Henderson and Tom Riley, the handyman. What had seemed like a case of a missing wife slowly revealed itself as a dangerous and calculated conspiracy. The evidence pointed to a chilling plan to silence Lisa before she could expose the truth. Under mounting pressure, Tom finally broke his silence. He confessed to kidnapping Lisa, but his motives were not as straightforward as the public expected. He claimed that Mark had pressured him into the crime, threatening to ruin him if he refused to help cover up their illegal dealings. Tom said Lisa had confronted both men about the stolen architectural plans and gambling debts, and they feared she would alert the authorities. The kidnapping was meant to scare her into silence, not to harm her. At least, that was Tom's version. However, the reality was far more complicated. Further searches led investigators to a remote cabin miles away from the Henderson neighborhood. The cabin, hidden deep in the woods, showed signs of recent use. Discarded food wrappers, fresh footprints, and a hidden stash of supplies. Detectives believed Lisa had been held captive there. But when they arrived, the cabin was empty, with no sign of Lisa. The discovery sparked a race against time. Authorities feared that Lisa's life was in imminent danger. The neighborhood was gripped by fear, wondering if Lisa would ever return or if this nightmare would end in tragedy. Meanwhile, Mark's story continued to crumble under scrutiny. He was arrested and charged with conspiracy, fraud, and involvement in Lisa's kidnapping. His once respected reputation was shattered. As the investigation unfolded, a stunning revelation came to light. Lisa had managed to escape. After days of captivity, she had used her courage and resourcefulness to slip away from the cabin under the cover of darkness. Lisa made her way through the forest, injured and exhausted, but determined to survive. She eventually found help in a nearby town, where she contacted the authorities and her family. Her escape was nothing short of miraculous. Despite the trauma she endured, Lisa's will to survive and her quick thinking saved her life. When police reunited her with her children, it was a moment of relief and overwhelming emotion. Lisa's return brought new hope, but also new challenges. She faced the daunting task of healing and rebuilding her life after the ordeal. The case that had once seemed like a simple missing persons report had evolved into a dramatic story of betrayal, survival, and justice. Mark was held accountable for his crimes, facing years in prison, while Tom Riley received a lengthy sentence for his part in the kidnapping. Lisa's bravery in the face of danger became an inspiration to many. The Henderson family's story reminded the community that appearances can be deceiving, and that beneath the calmest surfaces, secrets and dangers can lurk. What began as a marriage's deadly ultimatum ended with the triumph of resilience and truth, proving that even in the darkest moments, hope can shine through. Lisa Henderson's return marked a turning point in a case that had gripped the community for months. When she walked into the local police station, weary and guarded, her presence brought a flood of emotions for everyone involved. The children, Emma and Jack, who had been living with relatives, were finally reunited with their mother. The moment was bittersweet. There was relief, but also the heavy weight of trauma and uncertainty about the future. Lisa's escape from captivity was a story of courage and determination. She had endured days of fear, isolation, and physical hardship at the remote cabin where Tom Riley had held her. Despite being weak and frightened, she used every bit of strength and intelligence she had to find an opportunity to flee. Her survival instincts led her through dense woods and difficult terrain until she found a road and flagged down a passing driver who helped her contact the authorities. Once safe, Lisa immediately cooperated with law enforcement, providing crucial information about her kidnappers, the layout of the cabin, and the illegal activities involving Mark and Tom. Her testimony became the foundation for the case against them. The courtroom drama that followed exposed the full extent of Mark's deceit, his gambling addiction, financial desperation, and willingness to risk everything for money. Tom's role was also laid bare, a man torn between loyalty and fear, who ultimately chose crime and violence over truth. Mark Henderson was sentenced to many years in prison for conspiracy, fraud, and his involvement in the kidnapping plot. His fall from grace was a stark reminder that no one is above the law. Tom Riley received a lengthy sentence as well, convicted of kidnapping and aiding a criminal enterprise. Justice, though slow, was served. For Lisa, the road to healing was long and challenging. The psychological scars left by the ordeal were deep. She sought therapy and support from friends, family, and professionals who helped her rebuild her sense of safety and trust. Despite everything, Lisa showed remarkable resilience. She gradually began to reclaim her life, focusing on her children and rediscovering her independence. The community, once shaken by the dark revelations, found inspiration in Lisa's strength. The Henderson story became a cautionary tale about appearances, reminding everyone that beneath even the most polished exteriors, there can be hidden struggles and dangers. Local groups started initiatives to support victims of domestic abuse and raise awareness about the signs of trouble behind closed doors. Though the marriage ended in betrayal and violence, Lisa's survival and courage offered a powerful message. Even in the darkest moments, hope and justice can prevail. The deadly ultimatum that threatened to destroy her life became the catalyst for change and recovery. As the years passed, Lisa's story remained a symbol of endurance. She dedicated herself to helping others avoid the traps she had faced, and spoke openly about the importance of trusting instincts and seeking help. The children, now older, grew up knowing their mother's strength and the value of truth. The tragic beginning gave way to a new chapter, one of healing, justice, and hope. The perfect facade may have crumbled, but from its ruins rose a story of survival that would never be forgotten.